The arena lights flickered above. Smoke filled the air. The ground shook with heavy footsteps. A circle of roaring aliens watched from steel seats high above. They clapped, growled, and cheered. This was not a game. This was a hunt. In the middle of it all, a man stood alone. No armor, no helmet, no weapon. Chains hung from his wrists. His shirt was torn, his lip was bleeding, and one eye was almost swollen shut. But he stood. A Graction guard pushed him forward. "Fight, human. Entertain us." The announcer's voice echoed across the stadium. "And now from the ruined world of Earth, our next victim. No weapons, no shields. Just skin and fear." The crowd laughed, but the man didn't. He looked up at them, then at the gate in front of him. He took a slow breath. His name was Jack Wren, and he was about to show them what real fear looked like. Main story begins. 3 days ago, Jack was part of a small Earth peace mission. The humans had finally been invited to speak with the Graction Empire, a powerful alien race feared across dozens of star systems. It was supposed to be a safe meeting. A simple exchange of science, trade, and friendship. Jack wasn't even a soldier. He was a mechanic. His job was to keep the ship running. But then, everything went wrong. The ship was shot down the moment it entered Graction space. No warning, no message, just fire. The rest of the crew was either killed or taken. Jack was one of the lucky ones. They dragged him to a prison, shaved his head, burned his ID tag off his arm, laughed at his thin body. "This one won't last 5 minutes in the arena," one guard joked. "He's not even armed." Another said, "Doesn't need to be," said a third. "He's human, weak. He'll die slow." Jack said nothing. He watched, he listened, and he remembered. The prison arena now, standing in the center of the fighting pit. Jack remembered all their words. Weak, slow, doomed. A deep growl came from behind the gate. The metal creaked. Something large was breathing heavily. The gate opened. Out stepped a massive beast 10 feet tall, with dark blue skin and 3 eyes glowing red. Its claws scratched the stone floor. Spikes ran down its back. The crowd screamed in excitement. Jack stood still. The chain on his wrist dragged on the ground. He didn't blink, didn't move. The beast charged. Jack ran not away, but toward the wall. He leapt and kicked off it, flipping over the beast's wing. He landed hard, rolled, and grabbed a sharp piece of metal from the sand. One chance. The beast turned, slower than before. It charged again, its foot catching a crack in the ground. Jack dashed under it, slicing across its leg with the metal shard. It howled in pain. Blood sprayed the sand. Jack moved again, fast and low. He wasn't stronger, but he was smarter. And he'd fought like this before. Back on Earth, surviving the street wars as a child, he learned one rule: never fight fair. Fight to win. The crowd was quiet now. Some leaned forward. The Graction guards looked at each other. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The beast swiped again, this time catching Jack across the ribs. He screamed, thrown into the wall. Blood ran down his side. But he didn't stay down. He crawled, reached for the broken spearhead in the corner of the arena. The beast charged for a final kill. Jack turned at the last second and threw the spearhead. It struck the beast in the eye. It roared, staggered, then fell. Silenced. Then dashed screams. But not of joy, of fear. After the fight, Jack stood in the middle of the bloody arena, his chest heaving. He looked up at the alien crowds again. No smile, no celebration. He simply whispered, "Next." The prisoners in the holding cages watched him on the screens. A tall, insect-like alien turned to the others. "Did you see that? The human, he planned it. He knew exactly where to move." A reptilian prisoner hissed, "He's not fighting to survive. He's fighting to win." The guards shut off the screen. The Graction response in a dark chamber above the arena. Graction Commander Vorak Thul watched with narrowed eyes. His assistant stood beside him, silent. "This is a problem," Vorak Thul growled. "He is. Just one human, sir. One human who should be dead," the commander snapped. "He has no armor, no tech, just bones and blood. And yet he wins." He turned to his guards. "Next time, send him something bigger. Something painful." Jack in the cell back in his tiny cell. Jack stitched his side with a heated wire. No medical help. No bandages, just pain. He thought of his sister back home. She always told him, "Jack, you're too stubborn to die." He smiled weakly. "Guess you were right." He scratched a small line into the wall. One fight. One win. Jack started drawing in the dirt with a rock a map of the arena. He remembered where the weapons were hidden, where the cameras turned, where the guards entered. He wasn't just surviving. He was planning. The other prisoners that night. Whispers spread through the cells. The human beat the Gorak's beast. He was bleeding, but he stood. He stared down the warden. A young alien prisoner, a thin girl with bright yellow eyes, spoke softly. "Do you think he could escape?" An older alien shook his head. "No one escapes Graction prisons. No one." The girl looked toward the direction of Jack's cell. Her voice was calm. "Maybe no one, until now." Preparing for the next fight the next morning, the guards dragged Jack out again. His side was barely healed. One eye still swollen. But he stood tall. "You're lucky they want to see you fight again." One guard laughed. Jack looked him in the eye. "I'm not lucky. I'm dangerous, and you're too stupid to see it." The guard punched him. Hard. Jack fell. Blood on his lips. But he smiled. The arena again. The crowd was bigger now. Rumors had spread. Some came to see him win again. Others came to see him die. The announcer's voice boomed. "Round 2. The human returns, but this time he faces a hunter." The gate opened. Out came a 4-armed alien, armored, with twin blades and burning red eyes. A true killer. Jack stood with only his fists and a single rock hidden in his hand. The hunter pointed one blade at him. "You're not a warrior. You're a joke." Jack smirked. "Try laughing when your teeth are on the floor." The crowd roared louder than ever. The sand in the arena shook as footsteps came closer. Jack Wren stood again in the fighting pit. No armor, no helmet, no blade, just bruises, old blood on his chest, and pain in every bone. Across from him stood a tall alien, 4 arms, thick armor, and 2 sharp blades glowing red. A Graction hunter. Known for killing entire squads alone. The hunter laughed. "You're not a fighter. You're a broken bag of bones." Jack stared, calm. "Let's test that." The gate behind him closed. The match had begun. Main story begins. The Gractions were angry. Jack wasn't supposed to win his first fight. But he did. And now they wanted to break him. This time, they didn't send a beast. They sent a trained killer, a champion of the death. Pitts, a 4-armed alien called Vorak the Blade. He had killed 37 fighters. Fast, clean, brutal. Now, he stood across from Jack, laughing. The fight begins. Vorak ran at Jack with speed no one expected. His blades moved like wind. Jack dodged the first slash barely. A second blade cut his arm. Blood ran down, but Jack didn't fall. He rolled, grabbed a handful of sand, and threw it into Vorak's top 2 eyes. The alien screamed in anger. Jack didn't wait. He grabbed a broken piece of armor from the ground and slammed it against Vorak's leg. The metal cracked. But then Vorak grabbed him. All 4 arms, squeezing, crushing. Jack's ribs screamed in pain. The crowd cheered. They thought it was over. The turn. But Jack had hidden something. A small sharp rock. From the edge of the arena. He had picked it up before the fight. With all his strength, he stabbed it into Vorak's neck. The alien screamed and dropped him. Jack fell hard, coughing blood. But he stood, wounded, shaking. Vurak turned to attack again, but Jack moved fast, jumped on his back, grabbed a blade from Vurak's lower hand, and stabbed it deep into the alien's spine. The crowd fell silent. Vurak dropped to his knees, then to the ground. Dead. Jack stood over him, chest rising and falling. He held the alien's blade, his own arm dripping blood. The crowd reacts. There was no cheering now. Just silence. Even the Graction guards were still. Commander Vorak stood from his private seat above the arena. His face was cold. He won. Again, he growled. His assistant whispered, "The people are." Impressed, Vorak slammed his fist on the glass. "He's a human, no weapons, no tech. How is this happening?" No one had an answer. The prison cells back in the holding area. Other prisoners watched the screen in disbelief. The insect-like alien, Karak, spoke softly. "He should be dead." The young yellow-eyed girl whispered, "But he's not." Another prisoner, an old cyborg from the warlords, stood and nodded. "He's using his brain, not strength." Whispers grew louder. "He plans his fights. He watches the arena. He turns trash into tools. He's dangerous." For the first time in years, the prisoners felt something new. Hope. Jack returns to his cell guards, threw Jack back into his cell. He landed hard, groaning in pain. One guard laughed nervously. "Next time, human, you won't walk out." Jack didn't answer. He only looked at the ceiling, breathing hard. Once the guards left, Jack pulled himself up. He cleaned the wounds using water from the wall pipe. No medicine, just willpower. Then he marked the wall again. 2 lines now, 2 fights. 2 wins. Flashback as Jack rested. Memories came. He was 15. Earth was still rebuilding after the wars. He worked in a junkyard, fixed broken machines, learned fast, moved fast. Once, a group of raiders attacked the yard. Everyone ran. Jack stayed. He used traps, pipes, wires, fire. And won. "You don't need strength when you know how to make strength," his old boss used to say. That voice echoed now, and Jack knew he had a plan forming. The Gractions talked back at the control room. Commander Vorak watched footage of Jack's fight. Again and again. "Look here," he pointed. "He dodges this slash before it starts. That's not luck. He studies the arena," his assistant said. "He learns," Vorak hissed. "And learning is a threat. What do we do?" "Don't kill him yet," the commander said. "Slowly. The crowd's like him now. He's making us money. But let them cheer, let him rise. Then we break him, publicly." He smiled darkly. A silent meeting that night. Jack heard a knock. Soft. "Careful." He opened the cell slit. It was Karak, the insect-like alien. "You fight well," Karak said. Jack nodded. "You want to escape?" Jack said nothing for a moment. Then, "Yes." Karak glanced around. "Then we may help each other. Many prisoners believe in you now, but they need a leader." "I'm not a leader," Jack said. "You are now." Then Karak slipped away into the dark, building a plan. Next day, Jack began testing the arena walls with small touches, finding weak points, cracks, sharp spots. He spoke quietly to a few trusted prisoners during mealtime. Short messages, fast talks. No guards noticed. He learned where the main power box was when the cameras turned off for cleaning. Which guard drank too much, where broken weapons were thrown. Jack's mind worked faster than ever. He had no armor, no powers, but he had a plan. Third fight begins a few days later. They sent him back into the arena. Now the crowd cheered for him. "Let's see the human win again." They shouted. The announcer yelled, "3 opponents, no rest. Let the legend of Jack Wren end tonight." 3 aliens entered, one with a shield and hammer, one with poison claws, one with spiked armor. Jack stood still, just a wooden stick in his hand, but he wasn't afraid. The battle. The first alien ran in. Jack rolled under his swing, used the stick to hit the back of his knee. The giant fell, and Jack used the hammer against him. One strike to the head. Second alien jumped, claws ready. Jack dropped to the sand and rolled, then smashed the clod. Arm with the hammer. Bone cracked. He kicked the alien into the spikes of the third. Now only one remained. The spiked alien charged. Jack waited, then ducked. The alien slammed into the wall, dizzy. Jack grabbed a loose chain from the floor and wrapped it around his neck. Pulled tight. The alien dropped. 3 enemies. 1 human. 1 win. Aftermath. As the crowd went wild, Jack didn't smile. He walked away slowly, dragging the hammer behind him. He wasn't there to entertain. He was preparing. The galaxy watches news spread, even outside Graction space. A human? Winning without armor? Other species began asking questions. Who is this man? Why? Is he fighting like this? And why? Are the Gractions letting him live? Back in his dark cell, Jack looked at the marks on his wall. 3 fights, 3 wins. He looked through the small hole in the wall. In the distance, lightning flashed. He whispered, "Soon." Jack Wren couldn't feel his legs. He lay flat in the sand, staring up at the alien sky. Blood poured from his side. His right shoulder was dislocated, and his vision was going dark. Around him, the cheers of the crowd faded. The lights above. The arena blurred. A Graction soldier stepped forward, raising a long spear. He laughed. The human finally breaks. Jack coughed, his lips dry and cracked. His body screamed in pain. But then he saw it, the sharp tip of a broken blade half buried. Near his hand, his fingers moved. The guard raised the spear. Jack whispered, "Not yet." And then he struck. Main story begins. Hours earlier, Jack stood alone in his cell. His body was bruised, and the cuts from the last fight still hadn't healed. 3 fights, 3 wins, but the cost was high. His muscles ached, breathing hurt. Sleep barely came. Still he refused to stop. Today, the guards gave no warning. They dragged him out of his cell without food, without rest. He didn't fight them. He didn't speak, but he was watching. Always watching. Arena preparation this time. The Gractions weren't sending wild beasts or armored fighters. They were sending pain. A new challenge had been set. A timed fight. Jack had to face wave after wave of enemies with no break. The crowd wanted a show. The commander wanted blood. They didn't want him to die fast. They wanted him to suffer. And Jack knew it. Commander's orders up in the control tower. Commander Vorak Thill watched the screen. How long can he last? He asked. His assistant shrugged. We've prepared 6 waves. That should kill him. Vorak smiled. Let him bleed. Let them watch. He turned to the crowd. Today, we crush the human spirit. The match begins. Jack walked into the arena. The sun was high, and the sand burned his feet. He carried nothing. Again, no blade. No armor. Across from him stood the first wave. Too fast. Graction scouts with shock sticks. The gong sounded. They rushed forward. Jack dodged one, grabbed the other's stick mid-swing, used the motion to flip him, and slammed the shock staff into. The scouts backed. Sparks flew. The alien dropped. Jack turned to the second, ducked under his swing, and headbutted him. Then, he took the first one's stick and hit the second until he stopped. Moving. First wave cleared. Second wave. The burners before Jack could breathe. The second gate opened. 2 burners walked in, aliens with fire gear, designed to torture. More than kill. Flames burst across the arena. Jack ran zigzag, sliding across the sand. One flame hit his leg, burning the cloth. He screamed but didn't stop. He rolled behind a broken pillar, waited, then jumped out, smashing one burner with the shock stick. The fire tank exploded. The second turned to shoot, but Jack threw the stick like a spear, hitting the aliens. Mask, fire burst again, this time in the wrong direction. Second wave down. But Jack was burned, limbs shaking, face black with ash. Third wave. The juggernaut, then came the monster. A massive alien, armored like a tank, holding a metal hammer the size of Jack's chest. The crowd stood in excitement. Jack couldn't stand straight. His leg was blistered. His eyes stung from smoke. Still, he faced the beast. The alien charged. Jack dove to the side, barely avoiding the swing. The hammer cracked the floor. Jack limped behind the beast, picked up a piece of shattered burner gear, and used the sharp metal to stab under the armor joint. The alien turned and struck, slamming Jack against the wall. The crowd gasped. He didn't get up. The breaking point. Jack lay there, bones shaking, blood from his mouth. He couldn't feel his right arm, couldn't hear clearly. The crowd grew quiet. Commander Vorak smiled. It's over. The juggernaut raised his hammer, but then Jack rolled, grabbed a chain from the broken wall, pulled with all his weight. The hammer missed. He climbed the alien's back, wrapped the chain around his neck, and pulled tight. The beast stumbled, roaring. Jack screamed through bloodied teeth. Fall! And the beast did. Third wave barely survived. Inside the cells in the underground prison cells, the other inmates watched the screen. Karak, the insect-like alien, whispered, "He's not a man. He's a storm." The young yellow-eyed girl stared, with wide eyes. "He should be dead." "He is," said an old alien. "But his will, it's alive." Fourth wave begins. Before Jack could catch his breath, the gate opened again. This time, a pair of twin assassins. Thin, fast, deadly. Jack could barely lift his left arm now. His right was numb. He dropped to one knee. The assassin circled him. One stab. Jack turned just in time. The blade grazed his back. He kicked out, knocking the attacker off balance. The second came from behind, but Jack rolled toward the first, using his body weight to slam him into the ground. He grabbed the assassin's weapon, a short blade. Perfect. He turned, bleeding, and faced the last one. "I'm not done," he growled. He threw the blade straight into the assassin's chest. Fourth wave over. Fifth wave. The shock trooper, but Jack couldn't stand anymore. His knees gave out. A Graxian soldier entered, huge, with an electric axe. He walked toward Jack slowly. The crowd was silent. Even the commander leaned forward. "Now," Vorak whispered. "Now we finish him." The rise again. The soldier raised the axe. Jack opened one eye. He saw a glint, something small in the sand. He reached, fingers shaking. A broken blade tip. The soldier laughed. "Stay down." Jack whispered, "You first." Then, in one fast move, Jack stabbed the blade into the soldier's foot. The alien screamed, fell back. Jack grabbed the axe, swung it. The head of the axe hit the alien square in the chest, throwing him into the wall. Fifth wave down. Jack fell. With it. Arena chaos. The crowd didn't cheer. They stared in silence. One human. No armor. Burned, bleeding, nearly dead. And still he won. Some aliens in the crowd started chanting, "Who, man? Who, man?" Others looked afraid. Commander's Fori Vorak Thol crushed his glass in his hand. "Enough," he shouted. "Shut it down." "But sir," his assistant said, "he's inspiring the prisoners." "The crowds," I said, "shut it down." But it was too late. Jack's message. Jack, on the ground, looked up at the camera, his body broken, blood dripping, but his eyes cold, alive. He pointed at the camera and said two words, "Your turn." Back to the cells. The screens shut off. The prisoners stood. Kurik turned to the others. "It's time." Across the prison colony, quiet nods passed from cell to cell. They had seen enough. Jack was more than a fighter now. He was a symbol. In the medical bay, the guards dragged Jack into a med room. "Patch him up. The commander wants him alive." The doctor, a quiet slave, cleaned Jack's wounds. "You should be dead," he whispered. Jack opened his eyes barely. "I don't die easy." The beginning of the rebellion. Later that night, hidden notes passed between prisoners, drawings, tools, plans. Jack's escape was coming. But he wouldn't go alone. He was going to burn the whole system down. Blood dripped from his split lip. The metal floor was cold beneath him. He could barely breathe. Captain Elix stood over the human, shaking his head in frustration. "This one is stubborn," he hissed Dot around them. The room was silent. It wasn't a battlefield, just a cell, clean, bright, cold. The perfect place to make people beg. But the human didn't beg. They had tried everything: isolation, sleep, deprivation, pain, loud noise, water torture, electroshock. Still, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't scream. He wouldn't break. He just looked at them with tired eyes and smiled. The alien officers began to whisper, "This one is broken already. No, he is something else. He is waiting for what?" And then one guard said it. "Break him," the officer growled. "Break his body. Break his spirit." So they tried. Main story: rising tension and strong emotion throughout. 1. Back in the torture room, they strapped the human to a metal chair, chains around his arms, his legs, his chest. "Name," a tall alien asked. No answer. "Your people's base. Give us coordinates." "Silence. You are alone. No one is coming for you." The human looked up slowly, his face bruised, his breath slow, but he smiled again. "I know," he whispered. The guards didn't understand. Why was he smiling? 2. The beating begins. For the next 6 hours they hit him. Rubber clubs, electric prods, metal rods. They broke 2 of his ribs. Dislocated his shoulder. Still he said nothing. Still he smiled. Even the guards grew tired. One of them shouted, "What are you?" And the human replied, "I'm just a man." 3. The watching commander up on the ship's bridge. Commander Threx watched the live feed. This was supposed to be easy. Humans were weak. They broke easily, so the report said. But this one, something was wrong. Threx leaned closer to the screen. "Why isn't he begging?" "Sir," an officer said, "perhaps he's insane." "No," Threx replied. "Insane men scream. He is calm. He knows something." They ordered more pain, more pressure. 4. Inside the human's mind, inside his head, the human wasn't calm. He was in pain more than he ever felt. His body wanted to shut down, but his memories burned brighter. He remembered his team, dead, ambushed. He remembered the alien officer laughing as they shot his friend. He remembered the promise he made while hiding under their bodies. "I won't die here. I'll make them pay." Every breath he took now was one more step toward that promise. 5. A new plan to break him. They brought in someone new. An alien psychologist. She tried to talk to him kindly. "You're alone. You're scared. You don't need to suffer." He didn't reply. She showed him pictures of Earth, cities burning. Fake, but real enough to hurt. He closed his eyes. "Give up," she whispered. "Your world has." But he didn't move. He waited. Because he knew the truth. They needed him alive. They were afraid of what he knew, or what he could become. 6. The guards began to fear him one night. While checking his restraints, a guard saw something that chilled him. The human's fingers were bleeding, but he had loosened a chain link. Just a little. "How?" The guard whispered. He told no one. But the next guard saw the same thing. The next day. The human wasn't breaking. He was adapting. He was learning. He was planning. 7. Whispers. Across the ship word spread. This human is different. He doesn't feel pain. He's dangerous. He's not afraid of death. Guards began to patrol in pairs. Cameras were doubled. But none of it stopped the human's quiet resistance. He waited, silent, smiling whenever they looked at him. 8. The first escape attempt. One day during a transfer, the human struck. Even with chained hands, he attacked, headbutted one guard, elbowed another, tried to grab a weapon. They shocked him hard, slamming him to the ground. But now they knew. He wasn't waiting to be rescued. He was planning to escape. 9. The commander makes a choice. Threx was angry. He's becoming a symbol. To our own crew, he barked. They admire his strength. One officer replied, then kill him. Threx paused. No, he said coldly. We don't just kill him. We erase him. 10. The final torture room. They took the human to a dark room, stripped him of everything, even water. Even hope. For 5 days, he hung there chained, bleeding, alone, but still alive, still awake. Still planning. He whispered to himself every night. One more day, just one more, then I make my move. 11. A surprise visitor on the 6th day. Someone entered, a young alien guard, nervous, scared. He leaned in and whispered, "Why don't you give up?" The human smiled weakly. "Because pain passes," he said. "But regret lasts forever." The guard didn't speak again. He just left. But something had changed. 12. The spark of revolution. That same guard went back to his quarters. He thought about the human's words. He thought about the war, the lies, the cruelty. And for the first time, he questioned everything. Others would soon follow. All because one human refused to break. Closing scene. Building anticipation for Part 5. That night, as the ship powered down for rest mode, the human moved. Again, he had something sharp. Something hidden. He had waited. Endured. And now, the time had come. He whispered one final thing to himself. You should have killed me when you had the chance. Then the lights went out. And the real fight began. The hallway was painted red with alien blood. Sergeant Keller moved slowly, each step heavy, each breath sharp. He had no weapons left. Just a bent metal pipe he picked from the floor and his raw fists. His knuckles bled. His body was broken. But the aliens were afraid now. The ones who once laughed at him, mocked him for being weak, for being just human, now hid in the dark, whispering warnings. He had made them bleed, and he was not done yet. Story start. Keller leaned against the wall, trying to keep his legs steady. The last fight had left him limping, and his left eye was nearly swollen shut. The cold steel floor vibrated under his feet. A ship. Alarm in the distance. Something was coming. He turned the corner and found the control room door, blocked by 2 more Zarnok warriors. Big, armored, armed. These weren't the soft guards he'd dealt with before. These were elite. And they were already aiming their plasma rifles at him. Keller didn't stop. One of the Zarnok shouted something in their language, laughing. "He's unarmed," the other one said in broken English. "Let's make it slow." They weren't. Expecting what came next, Keller charged, not fast, not strong, just furious. The first rifle fired, barely missing his head. The second shot hit his side, but the cheap armor he'd ripped off a fallen alien absorbed most of it. He slammed the pipe into the knee joint of the first Zarnok. Metal cracked. The alien screamed. Keller twisted the pipe, then drove it into the creature's neck. The second warrior tried to hit him with the butt of the rifle, but Keller dropped low, punched the side of its knee, and took a hard hit to his back. Pain exploded. He didn't fall. Instead, he stood and punched again. And again. Flashback moment. Fuel for rage, a voice echoed in his head. Humans are soft. Commander Varnak had said weeks ago. You break easily. You don't regenerate. You don't have armor or claws. You are nothing. That voice had haunted him every night since they took his squad. Since they executed his friends one by one in front of him. Since they dragged him across floors like garbage. They left him alive to suffer. That was their mistake. Back to present. The second Zarnok collapsed, gasping, green blood pooling around its mouth. Keller stumbled but caught himself. He was shaking, exhausted, but alive. He looked down at his broken pipe, bent, bloody. Still usable. Inside the control room, alarms flared louder now. A countdown had started. Security lockdown in 2 minutes. If he didn't stop it, This section would seal, and he'd be trapped with no oxygen. He limped to the main console. It was written in alien script, but he remembered some symbols from his time spying during cleaning duty. Slowly, painfully, he pressed a sequence. Wrong. Beep. Red light. He growled, slammed a fist into the console. He tried again. This time, green. Lockdown halted. He collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Then the voice came again. Not in his head in real time. "Keller," said the voice over the intercom. "This is Commander Varnak. I see you're still alive. Impressive, truly, but it ends now. You've humiliated my ship and my crew. I will correct that mistake. Personally." Keller looked up, blood on his lips. "Good," he whispered. "Come find me." Scene shift, alien bridge. Commander Varnak paced furiously. His officers stood in silence. Screens showed damaged sections. Dead guards, fires, and one single human still breathing. "This thing ... has killed 27 of our warriors." Varnak shouted. An aide whispered, "He has no powers." "Number." "Armor. No weapons," Varnak snapped. "Then why is he still alive?" No one answered. "He's human," someone finally said. "They don't stop." Back to Keller, preparing for final path. Keller found a med station and quickly patched. Up his side. Painkillers dulled the fire inside, but he kept the rage burning. He found wires, a small power pack, and made something crude. But it would work. A trap. He dragged 2 alien bodies near the next hallway, set the power pack under them. When someone checked, boom. He moved again. He passed cells prisoners. Mostly aliens, one human. A woman, injured. She stared at him, shocked. "You're alive?" "Yeah," he said. "We're getting out." He broke the lock with the pipe, helped her out. She limped beside him. "Name's Wren," she said. "Sergeant Keller," he replied. "You fight?" She nodded. "If I must." "You?" "Must. Teamwork, the survivor's strike." They reached a weapons cache. Wren grabbed a blaster. Keller didn't. He kept his pipe. It was part of him now. They moved room to room, disabling cameras, knocking out lights. The Zarnoks were confused, scared. Whispers spread through the ship. The human ghost. He doesn't die. He made them bleed. Confrontation set up. Final showdown incoming. Commander Varnak prepared his best soldiers. "Bring me his head." Down below, Keller and Wren were waiting. Keller looked at her. "When they come, don't run." "I wasn't planning to." The lights flickered. Doors hissed open. Elite guards marched in. Huge, armored. Deadly. Keller cracked his neck. Time to make them bleed again. Cliffhanger ending. Tease Part 6. The hallway exploded into chaos. Blaster fire lit the dark. Wren dove to the side, firing fast. Keller ran forward, right into the storm, a pipe in hand. Fire in his heart, and behind him, the blood trail of vengeance. End of Part 5. Next part, 6. One man versus an army. Coming. Up, Keller and Wren take the fight to Commander Varnak himself. But what happens when one human dares to challenge the Empire's pride in a one-man war? The hallway was painted red with alien blood. Sergeant Keller moved slowly, each step heavy, each breath sharp. He had no weapons left. Just a bent metal pipe he picked from the floor and his raw fists. His knuckles bled. His body was broken. But the aliens were afraid now. The ones who once laughed at him, mocked him for being weak, for being just human, now hid in the dark, whispering warnings. He had made them bleed, and he was not done yet. Story start. Keller leaned against the wall, trying to keep his legs steady. The last fight had left him limping, and his left eye was nearly swollen shut. The cold steel floor vibrated under his feet. A ship. Alarm in the distance. Something was coming. He turned the corner and found the control room door, blocked by 2 more Zarnok warriors. Big, armored, armed. These weren't the soft guards he'd dealt with before. These were elite. And they were already aiming their plasma rifles at him. Keller didn't stop. One of the Zarnoks shouted something in their language, laughing. "He's unarmed," the other one said in broken English. "Let's make it slow." They weren't. Expecting what came next, Keller charged, not fast, not strong, just furious. The first rifle fired, barely missing his head. The second shot hit his side, but the cheap armor he'd ripped off a fallen alien absorbed most of it. He slammed the pipe into the knee joint of the first Zarnok. Metal cracked, the alien screamed. Keller twisted the pipe, then drove it into the creature's neck. The second warrior tried to hit him with the butt of the rifle, but Keller dropped low, punched the side of its knee, and took a hard hit to his back. Pain exploded. He didn't fall. Instead, he stood and punched again. And again. Flashback moment. Fuel for rage, a voice echoed in his head. "Humans are soft," Commander Varnak had said weeks ago. "You break easily, you don't regenerate. You don't have armor or claws, you are nothing." That voice had haunted him every night since they took his squad. Since they executed his friends one by one in front of him. Since they dragged him across floors like garbage, they left him alive to suffer. That was their mistake. Back to present. The second Zarnok collapsed, gasping, green blood pooling around its mouth. Keller stumbled but caught himself. He was shaking, exhausted, but alive. He looked down at his broken pipe, bent, bloody. Still usable. Inside the control room, alarms flared louder now. A countdown had started. Security lockdown in 2 minutes. If he didn't stop it, this section would seal, and he'd be trapped with no oxygen. He limped to the main console. It was written in alien script, but he remembered some symbols from his time spying during cleaning duty. Slowly, painfully, he pressed a sequence. Wrong. Beep. Red light. He growled, slammed a fist into the console. He tried again. This time, green. Lockdown halted. He collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Then the voice came again. Not in his head in real time. "Keller," said the voice over the intercom. "This is Commander Varnak. I see you're still alive. Impressive, truly, but it ends now. You've humiliated my ship and my crew. I will correct that mistake. Personally." Keller looked up, blood on his lips. "Good," he whispered. "Come find me." Scene shift, alien bridge. Commander Varnak paced furiously. His officers stood in silence. Screens showed damaged sections. Dead guards, fires, and one single human still breathing. "This thing ... has killed 27 of our warriors." Varnak shouted. An aide whispered. "He has no powers." "Number." "Armor. No weapons," Varnak snapped. "Then why is he still alive?" No one answered. "He's human," someone finally said. "They don't stop." Back to Keller, preparing for final path. Keller found a med station and quickly patched up his side. Painkillers dulled the fire inside, but he kept the rage burning. He found wires, a small power pack, and made something crude. But it would work. A trap. He dragged 2 alien bodies near the next hallway, set the power pack under them. When someone checked, boom. He moved again. He passed cells prisoners. Mostly aliens, one human. A woman, injured. She stared at him, shocked. "You're alive?" "Yeah," he said. "We're getting out." He broke the lock with the pipe, helped her out. She limped beside him. "Name's Wren," she said. "Sergeant Keller," he replied. "You fight?" She nodded. "If I must." "You must." Teamwork, the survivor's strike. They reached a weapons cache. Wren grabbed a blaster. Keller didn't. He kept his pipe. It was part of him now. They moved room to room, disabling cameras, knocking out lights. The Zarnoks were confused, scared. Whispers spread through the ship. The human ghost. He doesn't die. He made them bleed. Confrontation set up. Final showdown incoming. Commander Varnak prepared his best soldiers. Bring me his head. Down below, Keller and Wren were waiting. Keller looked at her. When they come, don't run. I wasn't planning to. The lights flickered. Doors hissed open. Elite guards marched in. Huge, armored, deadly. Keller cracked his neck. Time to make them bleed again. Cliffhanger ending. Tease Part 6. The hallway exploded into chaos. Blaster fire lit the dark. Wren dove to the side, firing fast. Keller ran forward, right into the storm, a pipe in hand. Fire in his heart, and behind him, the blood trail of vengeance. End of Part 5. Next Part 6. One man versus an army. Coming up, Keller and Wren take the fight to Commander Varnak himself. But what happens when one human dares to challenge the Empire's pride in a one-man war? The battlefield was quiet. Too quiet. Ash and smoke filled the broken air of the Karez Ridge. The alien commanders believed the human was dead. Their scanners showed no signs of life. They had wiped out everything in that sector. Or so they thought. From the shadows covered in blood and dirt, a broken figure moved. One arm hung useless. His face was bruised, his ribs cracked. But his eyes, those human eyes, still burned with something they couldn't kill. Refusal. He had no weapons left, no tech, no armor. Still he came back, not to win, but to finish what he started. Main story continued. The alien commander Verzuk had declared victory days ago. Human resistance has ended, he said to his war council. The last of them died at Karez Ridge. But one of his officers, a low-ranking scout named Rels, hesitated. Commander, he said carefully, there were signs. We found blood trails, deep footprints, not alien, not machine. Verzuk laughed. Blood trails? He scoffed. That is all humans leave when they're crushed. Blood and bones. They are done. But Rels wasn't sure. He had seen something, a flash of movement, the shape of a man crawling through rubble. He didn't speak of it again. No one believed him, but the human was alive. Meanwhile, deep in the ruins of Sector 7, Derek Cole pressed his back against a crumbling wall. His breathing was shallow. Every breath hurt. Every step felt like fire in his chest. His legs shook, but he forced them to move. He wasn't just surviving now. He had a mission. They killed his friends. They laughed as his team fell. And they left him for dead, a mistake. He remembered a promise he made to his squads. Medic before the attack. If one of us makes it, we finish it. For all of them. He had nothing left but a half-burned knife, a broken radio, and his pain. But in his mind, he repeated the same sentence again and again like a war cry. I'm still here. Cut to alien outpost. Karez Command. Verzuk soldiers relaxed. They removed their helmets, joked, ate, celebrated. But in one tent, Rels stared at the scanner screen. Something kept appearing and disappearing. One faint heat signal moving through the rubble. Slow, small, but steady. He called it in. Unusual movement at grid 12. Probably a wild animal. The tech replied, waving him off. But the signal kept moving closer to the fuel station, the food depot, the heart of their supply line. And then the signal vanished. Explosion. The alien fuel tanks erupted. Fire lit the sky red. Chaos spread. Troops ran in every direction. Alarms blared, panic, screams. Verzuk stormed out of his bunker. What is this madness? Unknown cause, Commander, said a soldier. No drones seen, no missiles, no airstrike. No way a human did this, another shouted. We killed them all. But as they looked to the fire, one soldier screamed and pointed. There, walking through the fire, was a man, not a machine. Not armored. Human. Burned, bloody, alone, and still walking. Flashback. How Derek did I it? Found old alien minds in a destroyed storage unit. With bare hands, he rewired one. He used the broken radio antenna as a remote switch. Took hours. Maybe days. He crawled, dragged the mine behind him, planted it under the fuel tank, hid beneath the metal grates, and waited. He had one chance. Explosion wasn't luck. It was payback. Present the aliens opened fire. Blaster bolts lit up the area. But Derek was already gone, slipping between rubble like a ghost. He was weak, slower than before. But he knew the terrain. This wasn't a war for him. It was revenge. Seen. Verzek furious. We need to find him, burn everything. Kill anything. That moves. Rel stepped forward. Commander, what if this is more than just a survivor? What do you mean? This human. He's not just fighting. He's thinking, planning, using scraps as weapons. We're not hunting an animal. We're hunting a soldier. Verzek growled. Then I'll show this soldier what fear really is. Derek's next move, he knew they'd come for him now. He was a ghost with a target on his back. He didn't care. He found an old enemy comms unit and tapped into their field frequencies. Listened. He heard them search for him. He heard them curse his name. He smiled. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was haunting them. Nightfall under the cover of night. Derek crept into the alien camp's outer tents. Quiet as a shadow, he cut a power cable, stole a sidearm, left a message written in alien blood on the wall. You should have killed me when you had the chance. The message reached Verzek. Now he knew. The human wasn't just alive. He was coming, seen. Alien soldiers, terrified, morale dropped. Soldiers jumped at shadows. Some refused to patrol alone. Others started whispering. They said the human is dead. Then why is he killing more of us every night? He's not human. He's a ghost. A demon. No, he's just a man, Rel said. And that's what makes it worse. Final scene of Part 6. Derek stood at the edge of the command tower. Below him were hundreds of enemy troops. He only had one shot. His ribs were broken. Arm useless. Eyes blurry. But he gripped the stolen sidearm tight and said one last thing. For Earth. For my team. For every human they thought was weak. He stepped into the light.